A dispute about work schedules during COVID-19 and resistance to a duplex project. Is it unfair that some employee jobs can be done remotely during COVID-19 and others cannot? Greetings everyone, this is the Gardening Snail of Livingston, California, just trying to keep the community informed and local government as transparent as possible. If you like what I do here, please share these videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The agenda packet for the December 15th City Council meeting is out, and the October 6, 2020 written minutes are part of the package. In this video, I'm going to do a very quick overview of those minutes, highlighting a few words and phrases along the way. On page 1, the mayor was absent. Councilmember Aguilar ran the meeting, and there was a report from the Recreation Department. On page 2, they're working on the 100-year anniversary. Talks about a reimbursement for the use of the Type 6 during wildfires and the completion of a slurry seal project. Skipping down to page 3, there are plans for road work, talking about the new city website, and there was a report by the police chief. Going down to page 4, they're talking about home sales, a report on the COVID-19 numbers, the 100-year anniversary, small business development, and the ACE train. Going down to page 5, the census, the impact of COVID on restaurants. City Hall is now going to be open from 8 to 5, at least for the time being. And it talks about modifications to City Hall staffing. Moving down to page 6, what happens if one employee gets sick with COVID-19, remote working, and the CARES Act, and the ACE train. It's not fair for employees that work at Public Works or the police department to knock on doors or check waters when City Hall employees are behind doors and behind bulletproof glass. All employees should come to work Monday through Friday. If they get sick, we can deal with it afterwards. Then we go down a little bit forward. All employees need to come to work. Now, I can only assume that means administrative employees should not be working remotely because it is impossible for other departments like the PD or Public Works to do most of their work out in the field. Since those departments can't do most of their essential duties remotely, administrative employees shouldn't be allowed to work remotely either. And then we begin with, well, that's my comments on that. And then we begin with the City Council members' announcements and reports. Going down to page number 7, we have complaints about City Hall employees leaving at 3:30 on Fridays, the disinfection process at City Hall to begin opening from 8 to 5, talking about soccer fields, and more on disinfection of the City Hall building. Going down to page 8, compensating admin employees versus the police department. A little bit about the safety fair. Moving on to citizens' comments begin. And one of the things that pops up is the owner of ARCO are actively selling their property. Moving down to page 9, the candidates forum, the Veterans Day parade, a $325,000 approved for the Livingston VFW Hall remodel. A little bit on the amicus brief on behalf of Foster Farms in the litigation with the animal rights group. And let's see, more lighting at Don Meyer Park. Fireworks, Chief of Police working on the situation. City is working with UC Davis on lighting to look for some lighting funding. Going down to page 10, the attendance requirements for City Council members. No requirement that every City Council member needs to be physically present at the council chambers as long as the public is informed on the agenda that some council members may be participating remotely. And then with the consent agenda begins, there were some questions about warrants. Moving down to page 11, we have more questions about warrants. The denial of claim for damages after a trip and fall into an MID canal, and the insurance company denied the claim. Page 12, who the canal belongs to. It belongs to the Merced Irrigation District, and what the city's requirement is when there are subdivisions or different projects in the area, the city requires that the canal be undergrounded. And then we have the denial of the claim was approved, and the comprehensive roof materials discussion begins. Going down to page 13, the roofing project is approved. The Cal Home application is also approved. And then we get into the discussion about the 2 duplexes on Prusso Street. Going down to page 14, the project met all code requirements, and that at the Planning Commission meeting, about 10 to 12 minutes before the meeting had started, they received an email from a resident in the area concerned about a garage on property to the east of this project. A little more on that. Then there is a request to reconsider the project. In other words, undo the vote the council already did. There were a bunch of concerns about parking spaces, more on parking, student and adult safety. Moving down to page 15, we have more about parking, traffic and pedestrians, a discussion about reports and the setback requirements. Moving down to page 16, we have more about setbacks, more about traffic, and finally getting down to the discussion regarding tobacco regulations, and beginning here. There is 2 options that were discussed: implementing the tobacco retailer's license and establishing retailer license regulations pertaining to distance and proximity of youth-oriented facilities. The US FDA released a new federal rule effective February 1st, 2020, which prohibits retailers from selling flavored cartridge-based electronic nicotine delivery systems. Moving down to page 17, we have public comments about the proposals before the city. Going down to page 18, we have the council members' comments about the different proposals. And then after the council's comments on that, we have the discussion about the reserve officer program, which was approved. After the discussion about the reserve officers, let's see, on page 19, which by then it was already after 11 p.m., so everyone agreed it was time to go home. If you would like to read the entire 19 pages, I'll leave a link in the description to a copy. If you're subscribed to the channel already, you might want to check and make sure you're still subscribed so you're notified whenever a new video goes live. And subscribe if you're new. Until next time, this is the gardening snail of Livingston, California, because not every critter is hiding under a rock.